The NFL Combine is officially here, which means a ton of players are going to be testing and seeing whether or not their draft stock will rise or fall. So in today's video, I want to talk about 8 different players who need a good Combine performance. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new and go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin with running back Kaytron Allen out of Penn State. Now, when you watch Kaytron Allen film, man, it is some of the better running back film out there. Like, from a pure technical perspective, he does a lot of things very well. He's got good contact balance. He sees the field very well. He knows when to bounce it outside. He knows when to take the yards in front of him. He is a smaller-ish like player, but he's a dense build. He's 5'11", 219. He's very dense, but he does have a couple major flaws to his game. Number one, he's just not a great athlete. Now, I don't want to call him a bum because, I mean, look at your boy. Your boy probably runs like a 5.5 flat, if even that, maybe a 6. I don't know. We're talking about an NFL prospect, and look, I think he can maybe get into the 4.5s, which I think would be a great time for him, by the way, like a 5.2, like a 4.52, 4.56. If he can stay in that lower 4.5s to mid 4.5s, that would be great for him. My concern is he's a 23-year-old player, and I could definitely see him maybe being more like a 4.6 type of guy. He's just not the greatest athlete in the world. There's not really a level of explosiveness to his game. However, I do think even if he doesn't test the best at the Combine, I still think he will have a case to be 3, 4, or 5 in this class, depending on what your rankings are. But he can definitely elevate his stock by going into the draft process, testing well, looking good throughout the drills, having a good 10-yard split. If he can do all that, maybe we're having the conversation about Kaytron being a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Because right now the consensus is probably back of round 3, somewhere on day 3. Which for a player of Kaytron's caliber, somebody who had an unbelievable productive year with over 1,300 rushing yards and got better seemingly year in and year out, who, by the way, when they really gave the reins of the offense to Kaytron Allen at Penn State, that offense got significantly better. It's just really going to be a great opportunity for Kaytron to go out there, show off the wheels a little bit, show that he's a better athlete than what the tape may have suggested. And if that's the case, I mean, he's going to fly up draft boards, including my own personally. I like Kaytron. I think there's a lot of good qualities to his game, but I'm really concerned about that next level speed and whether or not he's going to be able to, hit the holes necessary to make it in the NFL. Now, that's not to say that he won't have a role, even if he runs a 4.6 or something crazy. Of course he will. We've seen big backs like, look at David Montgomery or Dameon Pierce for a year, or guys like those who are these bigger, bulkier, not the greatest athletes necessarily of the world. Kaytron maybe could be in that fold where you get Kaytron, he's your RB2, ideally to a more explosive RB1. Think of, Gibbs and Montgomery again. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm very intrigued to see what he looks like at the Combine. Again, I'm not sure it's going to necessarily drop him out of a potential, round 3, round 4 pick if he runs slow, because I think if you just watch the tape, you'll see that he's not the fastest. But if he does go out there and has a great Combine and test well for what we know of him, then that could definitely elevate him. And by the way, a very weak running back class. So keep an eye on Kaytron Allen. I'm very intrigued to see what he does. Moving over to number 2, I have Romello Height, the Texas Tech edge rusher. So when it comes to Romello Height, he kind of came out of nowhere and just jumped out on the scene, him and David Bailey in a lot of ways. Bailey had a little bit of some hype heading into this process, but really it was Romello Height who really picked up steam early on because he was super productive and had some really excellent games earlier in the season. As the year went on, he was still very productive, still made a ton of plays, was able to get after the quarterback. He held a pass rush win rate of 21.8%. Like, that's an awesome number, of course. And I like Romello Height. I think he has go-to pass rush moves that some of these guys above him don't have quite yet. But he has a massive caveat, which is the fact that he is a very light guy. I believe at the Senior Bowl, he weighed in at sub 240, and we know just based off looking at him that he is a very light edge rusher, which means that it's going to be very difficult for him to get off blocks at the NFL level, like get off like physical mauling style guys. Like, he's going to get destroyed by those guys because he's just so damn light. And while he's strong and while, look, again, I want to reiterate, I'm not somebody, I feel like I'm not in a good position to be judging these guys because he's 240. I'm like 200 and he'd kick my ass. But even then, you get my point. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but you get my point. Like, he's an NFL player. I'm not. I'm just critiquing him. I have no right to do so, but I also do. I'm just rambling at this point. Romello Height, man. Look, a lot of good qualities to him as a pass rusher. He has go-to pass rush moves. He can get a bend around the corner. He's a really explosive athlete. I love the way that he just looks so pissed off on every single rep. I think it's great. But realistically speaking, when you are 240, 238, I think he was at the Senior Bowl, that's a tough weight to be at. Like, that is very light for the edge rushing position. And more often than not, it's going to be hard to have success there unless you're a freak like a Nick Bonito or somebody like that. Now, how can he elevate his stock? Because you're starting to see him fall down draft boards a little bit. If he gets to the combine and weighs in 245 around that level and looks explosive in the 40, looks good in drills, all that sort of stuff, then you're going to see some Romello Height buzz start to pop up in the early round 2. Because again, while he's not the best run defender and simply just won't be at the NFL level, it is hard to teach a guy that has go-to pass rush moves and has proven production like a Romello Height. Now, Romello is 24, going to be 25, 25. I think he'll be 25 at the draft, or he'll be 25 in his rookie year. Not a great age. It's the same conversation with Akeem Mesidor. And we're talking about Mesidor being as well put together as he is. Romello, not so much. So not a ton of room for him to grow into his body. Like, let's just be honest. Let's see if he can pack on some weight and how he looks at the combine. I think it can help his draft stock. Probably not getting back into round 1 buzz, but early round 2, I think so. If he tests poorly, though, if he doesn't look fast, if he looks bad during the drills, or simply put, if he's sub 240 and doesn't, blaze at the 40-yard dash or 10-yard split, maybe we'll talk about Romello Height being more of like a round 3, round 4 type of guy, or maybe just day 3 type of guy. It's interesting. I think he can test well. I think he should. We'll see what he comes in weight-wise and, how he plans on attacking the measurables because, he also will have his pro day as well. Moving over to Zachariah Branch, the Georgia wide receiver. Also, that image is very blurry. My bad. So, look, Zachariah Branch's whole thing is pure freaking speed, man. It is pure speed. In fact, I actually wrote an article on this on the First and 10 website. By the way, you guys should check it out. Made by me, backed by me and my teammates. We got some creators on here. Please check it out. I'd love for you guys to, go check out the mock draft simulator. We got some team information. It's still developing. It's still just kind of in its, I guess you can call it its beta form, but a lot of good stuff here. Anyways, Zachariah Branch, getting back to him, 5'10", 180. Look at some of these numbers here. Dominated the Nevada Southern 5A regionals, 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, posted an elite 10:33 in the 100 meters. God damn, that's crazy. A 21.01 wind aided, which, I don't, what does wind aided even mean? Like the wind is pushing him? Maybe it's behind him? I don't know. In the 200 meters, and I think he also did some relay racing stuff as well, which you'd expect. This guy's a freaky athlete, man. Like straight up a freak of an athlete, which you'd want him to be because he's 5'10", 180 pounds. When you watched Georgia last year, anyone could tell you this. I'm not brain science here. This is very simple stuff. He did 90% of his work. Well, not 90, but like 50%. He did half of his work in the screen game, in the underneath game. So much of his production comes from, simply put, just being, I don't want to call him a gadget guy, but a yards after catch guy. You want this guy on special teams. You want him in the screens. You want him in some motion, get him out in space. You don't want him on press man coverage because he'll struggle to get off press. It's kind of, he'll play a kind of a similar role to Tyreek Hill in some ways. I'm not saying he'll be Tyreek Hill, but you get my point. Tyreek Hill, undersized, speed demon. You want to get him out in space. You want to use him a lot in motion. You saw Miami basically, it felt like every single play, put Tyreek on motion, send him off, right? Targets to motion, things like that. That's what you're going to see a lot with Zachariah Branch. Now, if Branch gets to the combine and doesn't run well, which he won't, he's a freak athlete, but let's just say he doesn't for whatever reason, that could hurt his stock because his whole game is based on speed, athleticism, explosiveness, playing in space, playing backyard football. That's his game. And if he goes out there and runs, I don't know, a 4.44, like that would be disappointing, I feel like. Maybe that's harsh, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Isaiah Bond last year, where it was like, and Bond did this to himself, by the way. Bond was like, oh yeah, I'm going to run the fastest 40. Didn't come close. Not saying that hurt his stock. He had some other issues off the field, but still, it hurt him. But if he can go out there and run a 4.3, he doesn't have to set the combine record. He doesn't need to do all that. Run a 4.3. And honestly, like that's it. I think go there, measure, interview, run the 40. I don't think he should do anything else, because He's rising up draft boards. His 40 time will help his draft stock. Everything else is just kind of a cherry on top. And if anything, it could maybe hurt him a little bit. So if I'm him, do my pro day, do the interviews, run a 40, and get on out of there, right? Don't, test yourself too much. You don't want to show off too much. I think he should be set just like that. But you are hearing, and by the way, I don't have inside knowledge. My co-host on my podcast, First and 10 Podcast, check it out, link in the description. He has some inside knowledge, and he's saying, again, don't take his word for it, but maybe do. So judge him if you want. Zachariah Branch might be going a little earlier than what we expect. Take that as you will. If he wants to help that out, if he wants to help his case to go earlier, test well at the combine, and we'll see if that can happen. Moving over to my next prospect, it's tight end Max Clare. So Max is somebody that had I don't want to say a disappointing year. He was good this year, but him and Jack Andrews had so much hype heading into the season, and they were just good. Specifically, Andrews was just okay. Clare was a little bit better than Andrews. That's why he's a little higher on people's big boards. The issue with Clare, and the reason why he's on this list, is you have two guys in front of him in Eli Stowers and Kenyon Sadiq, who will more than likely test very well at the combine. Stowers is like a 235 guy. Kenyon Sadiq is known for his athletic traits and abilities. So if you are a Max Clare and you want to end up being tight end 1 or 2 in this class, you have to look good. You have to be able to compare yourself to those guys. Not saying you have to run a 4.4, not saying you have to bench press 30 pounds or 30 times the 225. You don't got to do all that, but just look good out there. He needs a good combine so that way he can stay in the race of the top tight ends in this class. Because if not, I have a feeling that you're not going to see a ton of tight ends drafted early in this class, because there is some decent depth in this class. And there's the 2-3-ish right now, Clare, Stowers, and Kenyon Sadiq. We know Kenyon Sadiq's going to go early. We think Stowers is going to go early too. Maybe not day 1, but top 50 I think is reasonable. Can Clare now enter into that conversation where he goes top 50 in this year's draft? Not a ton of pressing tight end needy teams. Miami's one of them. Outside of that, I can't think of, I'm sure there's a couple out there. Tampa Bay, potentially the Falcons, depending on what happens with Kyle Pitts. There's a couple of tight end needy teams out there, but none that are we have to get a tight end early. Because if you miss Max Clare, that's fine. We'll take Jack Andrews, or we'll take Tanner Koziel, somebody like that. I digress. But still, I think Max Clare needs to go out there and prove that he is athletic enough to hold up. And I think he is. He looks good on tape. He looks athletic. He's a good receiving threat out there. But so is Stowers, and so is Kenyon Sadiq. We'll see if there is an ability for him to match those guys. Not bar for bar, word for word, but, if this is a rap battle, can he give some good one-liners, basically? I think he can do so. If he can do so, expect him to go in the top 60. That would be my bet. That would be my guess. Moving to my next player is offensive lineman Monroe Freeling. So Monroe's whole game is athletic-based right now. Not the strongest in run blocking. He's just not the strongest guy in general, but he has a really good size and frame to him. It's hard to teach 6'7". I'm watching you. 315 pounds, and he carries it very well. He's not lengthy or lanky. He's not fat. He carries his weight very well. He's also very nimble on his feet. It's hard to teach that stuff, right? But with Monroe, he has to look good at the combine. I'm talking he has to look great in the drills, really shifty feet, being able to go from one side to the other side, change of direction drills, stuff like that. We'll see if he does the 40. I'm sure he should. So if he does the 40, he's got to be faster than the Max Ahianachor, any of those guys who are around that same level, the Blake Millers of the world. Not saying 40 times matter a ton, but when your game is very athletic based, I think it matters a little bit. We want to see, can you get out on a screen and be a lead blocker, right? Can we have you pulling and you will make it on there on time consistently, that sort of thing. His game is very much dependent on him being a very athletic player, somebody with nimble feet, somebody that knows how to use his hands in correlation with his feet. He's got some kinks to work out in the armor, but he's getting first round buzz for reasons because of that size and movement skills. He has to show that at the combine, because right now that back of round 1 offensive line class is quite interesting, right? You have Fano, you have Maui Noah, but after them, it's you have a big clump of these guys. Caleb Tiernan, Blake Miller, Max from Arizona State. I can't ever say his last name, please. Tell me in the comments how to pronounce it. I've learned it and then I forget it. I have the worst memory in the world. Where was I at? Jennings Dunker, Caden Proctor's in that mix, Caleb Lomu's in that mix, and then of course Monroe Freeling. There's a lot of these guys here that are like, they could be first, they could be seconds, they could even be thirds. And so you don't want to get lost in the shuffle there. Right now, he has a bit of buzz to him because he is kind of a newer prospect on the scene. However, that buzz will go away very quickly if he goes to the combine and doesn't look great. He goes to the combine and looks mediocre or bad. That's a rough look for him, because I look at other guys like Max, who's also, I think, 6'5", 6'6", 330 pounds, and he should move pretty well because he used to play basketball. So that's going to be enticing for them. Blake Miller's also a fairly good athlete. There's other bigger guys there too, like Jennings Dunker is a big mauler type of guy. If he tests well, that'd be interesting. So Monroe has his challenge ahead of him. I think he can absolutely knock it out of the park, but we will wait and see. For sure we will. Moving over to my next player is AJ Halsey, the safety from LSU. So AJ is very much in the kind of the same conversation I had here with both Monroe and Max Clare, of somebody who's like a pretty safe bet to be a top 60 pick in this draft. Like, he's definitely going to be taken somewhere on day 2. The question is going to be, can he put enough good on the combine, and does he have enough good film on tape to enter into the range of the McNeil Warrens and the Dylan Thienemans? Because look, Caleb Downs is a complete tier above everybody else in this class. That's not to say that Dylan, McNeil, or AJ, or even Kamari Ramsey are not great players. Caleb Downs is just that damn good, right? So Downs will go in the top 15. We know that for a fact. If not, the world has gone to shit. I'm the president of the United States, probably. Anyways, that second tier of guys currently is being held by Thieneman, Halsey, McNeil. Maybe you can throw Zakee Wheatley and Kamari Ramsey in there, right? I would say that those guys are kind of lower on that tier, but they're in the tier. There's a big clump of guys there, and I think you're going to see one of these guys be a first-round pick. I think one will be an early second-round pick, meaning that the other guys will be somewhere taken on day 2. It could be middle of round 2, late round 2, somewhere on round 3. Downs goes top 15. Right now, it does feel like McNeil Warren kind of has that upper hand to potentially be a top 25 pick in this class. And as of today, it also feels like Dylan Thieneman also has a chance to be either an early day 2 pick or maybe a late round 1 pick. But you haven't really been hearing a ton about AJ Halsey, despite the fact that AJ Halsey is a well put together player, 6 foot, 222 pounds, a downhill thumper with a lot of great film out there for LSU. And he put a combine together where he runs well, he shows good fluidity, he makes plays in the football on those catching drills they do. Can he do that stuff to enter his name further in the conversation with the Warrens and Thienemans of the world? I don't know. Again, as of today, it does very much so feel like it's Downs, Warren, Thieneman, Halsey. Can Halsey put his name somewhere in that mix? Has a good combine. I think he can. If not, he might get lost a little bit in the shuffle and become, I don't know, he might lose a bit of money, which you never want to do. So, yeah, keep an eye for AJ Halsey. I think he should have a good combine. I don't know if he's going to test out of the waters, but I also don't think Thieneman nor Warren will either, so Halsey may have a chance to improve his stock if he goes out there and surprises people with his combine. But now we talk about Jacob Rodriguez. And it feels like everyone just loves Jacob Rodriguez. It feels like he is one of the more likable guys in this class. And I mean, it shows, man. People are kind of obsessed with this guy. And I like Jacob Rodriguez too. I definitely think that we should be a little cautious here, but I can definitely see it. Look, Jacob Rodriguez, it is so difficult to find a guy with his type of ability to make plays on the football. 4 interceptions, multiple forced fumbles. He even did it at the freaking Senior Bowl. I mean, what he can do is quite impressive. Will it translate to the NFL? That's going to be a conversation that every single NFL team that has interest in Jacob will have to answer. My question with Jacob is he athletic enough? Because he's not a big dude necessarily. He's 6'1", 235. Not small by no means, but you look at like an Arvell Reese, who's 6'4", 240. You look at Anthony Hill, 6'3", 238. You look at a Jake Golday, 6'4", 240. 6'1", 235. Kind of puts him, he's within reason, but it's not like he is a measurable machine by no means. That all said, if he goes to the combine and puts up some respectable numbers, and he jumps well, he runs well. He should look good in all the drills because he's really good at those sort of things. If he can do that, I'm interested. Because right now it does feel like the fan consensus is a lot higher than what and I hate to call myself or analysts per se, what the content creator analysts will say. I guess that's what you can tag myself as, where we all are kind of like round 3 feels like the sweet spot for him. If he has a good combine, maybe Jacob Rodriguez works his way into being an early day 2 pick, like round 2 potentially, because the ball skills are there. We saw it at the Senior Bowl. He's a leader, has so much production on his tape, and it's not like he's horrifically sized, and he's not afraid to get his nose dirty. He can get off blocks a little bit. He's great in coverage. The conversation on Jacob Rodriguez will get very, very interesting if he goes to that combine and starts to outrun the Goldays, the Trotters, maybe even the CJ Allens of the world. He's probably not going to outrun Anthony Hill. I think Anthony was a track guy. In fact, he was. So probably not. Neither Styles or Arvell. They're freaks of natures. But like those guys, like I'm intrigued. I'm very fascinated to see what Jacob Rodriguez can do. Because again, people love this guy. I can't say I disagree. He's a damn good football player. We'll see what he can do at the combine. And the last player we are going to talk about is cornerback Jermod McCoy. So we have not seen Jermod McCoy, at least in a professional manner, run, cut, move, all those sort of things since 2024. Now, maybe he's posted some things on Instagram. I'll be honest with you, I don't follow Jermod McCoy, so maybe I should do that. That all said, this will be the first time in like a public setting, to the best of my knowledge, that we're going to see him run and move and how he trusts his leg after an injury that he suffered well over a year ago. Don't forget, this injury happened in 2025. I think it was January of 2025. It's been well over a year. We haven't really seen anything from him. We didn't watch him at all last year, which I think was the right decision by him. Don't play if you're not 100%. And even if you are 100%, Tennessee was out of the playoffs by the time he was ready to go, so it didn't really matter. But for Jermod, it's very important that he runs well, he moves well, he doesn't get hurt again, he shows good fluidity, and he shows, maybe more importantly, that he trusts his leg. I'll tell you from my family experience, I have a brother who had a knee injury. It took that guy a while to just even trust that leg to do anything, to go upstairs, to even take that damn escalator, like all that sort of stuff. Injuries are scary. And because we haven't seen this guy in so long, we don't know, right? You would assume that he's moving totally fine at this point, but you don't know. So when he gets to the combine, I think it's pretty reasonable for us to expect him to, I don't know, be nervous, have some jitters, make some mistakes. I think that's all reasonable to understand, but can he move well is the biggest thing out there, because the 2024 film is that damn good to where as long as he looks good at the combine and private workouts and pro days, he's easily a top 15, top 20 player in this class. Easily. Maybe even top 10 based off 2024. But he's got to prove it. He's got to prove it. He's got to prove that knee is no longer affecting him. If it is affecting him, you'll see him fall a little bit. Let's not forget what happened to Will Johnson last year. Will Johnson, consensus top 15 player. He all of a sudden had some injuries. They also thought he was slow as shit, and he fell to the second round. Arizona's not complaining. He looks pretty good. Still, it happened. Could that happen with Jermod? Maybe. If he doesn't test well, if he looks scared to cut and do all that stuff, yeah, he will fall. Big time. He will fall. So we'll see. He's a fascinating player. I'm so excited to watch him play and make some moves. I think he could be great, but we'll see. Anyways, you guys let me know in the comment section below. There's a ton of players that you have to watch at the combine. So please stay tuned. I'll make sure to make some reaction videos to the combine, all that sort of stuff. If you guys check out my podcast, First and 10, we'll definitely talk about the combine there too. On the website, we'll make sure to update everything with all the updated 40s, bench press, all that pizzazz. We'll put all that on the website. So again, check all the links in the description below. Hit the like and subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.